Okay, so the recording has started. So it's fantastic to have Ava from the University of Reading, and she's going to talk to you about studying a BSc Biomedical Science degree at Reading and what it involves. Okay, and give you a taste of what it would be like if you studied biomedical science. So if you've got any questions, put them in the chat. And I'm going to mute my mic, Ava, so that it doesn't pick up any background and stuff like that. And I might switch my camera off so it doesn't distract the audience as well.
Thank you, John. Welcome, everyone. So as John introduced me, I am Eva Kevei, and I am the Program Director of Biomedical Sciences at the University of Reading. So if you happen to come to visit us or on a visit day or an open day, or if you're interested to study with us, maybe you meet me in the close future. So I would like to talk about what is it studying. So how is it studying biomedical sciences at Reading and what it entails and what you would be studying, how your life would be if you come to Reading. And as it has been mentioned already, if you have any questions right now, obviously I'm happy to answer those, but you can also see my email on the bottom of the slide. So you can also email me directly if you have any questions regarding to the degree. I'm really happy to answer via email. So obviously, we are sitting in Reading. If you have not been here yet before, we are not far from London, so west from London, 20-25 minutes by train. And basically, we have a university which is research intensive. So we obviously teach a lot, but we also involve our students in up-to-date research. And Reading is actually sitting at the Thames Valley corridor. Why it's interesting for us, especially if you think about the biomedical degree, because there are companies, big companies, which have their headquarters sitting around Reading or close to Reading. That includes Bayer, IQVIA, PRE Health Sciences, which are all offering opportunities, obviously, for career later on if you finish your degree as a biomedical scientist. We also have some other companies which are not necessarily related to biomedical sciences, but also good, providing good opportunities for work experiences. So this includes Microsoft, Oracle, and other offices of other big companies. And also GSK and Cobans have their headquarters and laboratories nearby. So Reading itself is a regional hub for culture, shopping, of course, and recreation. We have our own festival as well. And as you see on the picture, we also have our own Banksy on the very famous Reading jail wall. And what is also important, maybe if you study biomedical sciences, that we have a very good and increasing and growing relationship with the local Royal Berkshire Hospital, so the NHS Foundation Trust, which also offers us lots of opportunities for our students to do placements and work experiences. Generally, our university, you can see some numbers. So we have some very good ranking worldwide. Of course, 94% of our graduates in work or in study within 6 months after graduating. So these numbers are available also on the website. And we have a very nice green campus. So if you manage to come to us on an open day, you will see that the University Reading campus is located basically within the city of Reading. It's very easy walking or bus drive distance to the city center. And from there, of course, wherever you wish to travel, so close to London, it means like in 20 minutes you can get to the capital, but also you can travel in different other directions. And this is just a picture to show you the campus is really green. So Reading has won a couple of awards about being or having the greenest campus in the UK. And these pictures show you we have our own lake on the campus as well, and loads of forest areas where you can walk and basically relax if you are studying here at Reading. So what do we offer in the School of Biological Sciences? So we are a research-intensive institution, so not just a university, but specifically School of Biological Sciences. And we really have an internationally recognized research run by many academics with loads of different biomedical research areas covered. And what is also important, that when you are studying biomedical sciences at Reading, you would be able to learn from academics, from scientists who are really top-notch at their specific topics, at their specific research interest, and they are teaching and talking about the topics that they understand the most because they are working on these right now. We have also a research institute called Institute for Cardiovascular and Metabolic Research. So one of our leading research area is basically covering cardiovascular diseases. So a lot of colleagues are working on that one. And of course, we have state-of-the-art facilities to run this research. And our students are coming from all over the globe. So majority of our students obviously coming from the UK, but it's an international university. So if you come to us, you would be able to join a very diverse community of students at Reading. We also have been lucky that the last year, finally, we managed to move into our brand new Health and Life Sciences building, which has been designed for us. So basically, the second floor encompasses our research laboratories. The ground floor, we have one of the biggest teaching lab for students. And of course, we have our own cafe and a very famous zoology museum as well in the building. So the university made a huge investment to our biomedical degree as well, so we can recruit more students and teach them and provide top degrees. Okay, so what does it mean to become a biomedical scientist? So if you have ever thought about becoming a biomedical scientist, you have to know that in the UK, the title of biomedical scientist is actually protected by law. So if you want to use this title, the first thing you have to do is to get a degree in biomedical sciences. So biomedical sciences degrees, a lot of university offers these. Our university offers an accredited degree in biomedical sciences, and accreditation comes from outside of the school. So it comes from an institute called Institute for Biomedical Sciences. And they provide accreditation for the degree. That means when you finish it, you have actually accomplished the first step to become a biomedical scientist. And biomedical scientists are usually working in hospital environment, in clinics, doing disease diagnosis, working with samples that were sent in by GPs, by hospital departments. And the discipline itself is strongly based on biology and chemistry. So you probably are studying biology or chemistry if you are interested in doing a biomedical sciences degree. So the degree itself is flexible, module-based, so you will choose different modules during your 3 years. So it's a 3-year degree. And there is a strong core compulsory set of modules within the degree because of the accreditation. So you need to learn certain areas of and topics that you have to basically understand and also be able to work along these topics. And while you are studying biomedical sciences, you are not just obviously taught by lectures and tutorials, but we also put a lot of emphasis to have the students in the laboratory and learn all those techniques that they will need in the lab when they go out and they start their career as biomedical scientists. So we also emphasize that we want to teach students not just the core disciplines, but we also want to provide transferable skills, which are really important for employability. And the whole degree puts an emphasis on mechanisms of disease. So that's basically what you learn if you study biomedical sciences. We do provide a lot of opportunities to get hands-on experience in laboratory work, because biology itself is a really hands-on type of subject. So you really want to work with samples, you really want to understand how you can analyze them, how you can diagnose them, and learn the basic laboratory techniques that is essential to work, for example, in a hospital environment. So the core knowledge that we teach in biomedical sciences have 7 areas. So if you study biomedical sciences at Reading, you will learn about cellular pathology. So the microscopic examination of the normal and the abnormal cells and tissues involved in disease progression. You will learn about medical microbiology, so pathogenic microorganisms, clinical immunology, immunopathology, so the mechanisms how the body protects itself from disease. You will learn about hematology, which is the study of the blood, basically, in the normal and the disease states. You will learn about transfusion science, clinical genetics, a very important area when you actually understand how diseases are basically, so what is the cause of the disease, how they are formed, what is the genetics behind the disease. And also you can learn how to diagnose this, so how to recognize these differences in the genome. And you will also learn clinical biochemistry, which is a very basic science when you are practicing as a biomedical scientist in the environment of a hospital. The degree itself, the basic structure is similar, I think, across different universities. So you have 3 years. In every year, you would need to gain 120 credits. And how do you gain these? So all of our modules have a value of 10 to up to 40 credits per module. Most of the modules are either 20 credit worth or 10 credit worth. Sorry if I made a mistake. So it's from 10 to 40 credit per modules. And 1 credit actually equals roughly 10 hours of work. And if you think about what it means, 10 hours of work in a university, it means that you might have 1 or 2 hours of lecture on a week, 2 to 3 hours of practical work, again on a week, and that makes up roughly 10 credit altogether. So 1 credit makes 10 hours of work, then 10 credit obviously equals more or less 100 hours of work. And this includes these supervised sessions. So you will have lectures and practical sessions in the lab, but it also includes independent learning. So reading, studying papers, books, and reading for yourself. So a lot of emphasis is on independent work when you enter university. So if you look at how we evaluate student work, there is always an exam at the end of the year. Most of the modules actually have this exam component, but there are examples when actually you don't have to take the exam, because we also have so-called in-course assessments. That means that you do a coursework during the term time. And coursework can be coming in different forms, can come as a test, the MCQ type of test. So you have to choose from different answers. You can write an essay. There are also group work. So when you can do a group presentation, you have a selected topic that you have to work together with other students for, and then you present in a 15, 20 minutes presentation your work together with your colleagues. And there are a range of different opportunities how we can actually assess student work. And of course, there are also research projects, placements, and field courses that are available, depending on the degree, of course, and depending on the topic you are studying. I would like to show you a snapshot how the modules are looking like in the first and second and third year, with few examples detailing what it entails. So in the first year, if you come in, we call this year part 1. So in the first year, you have 100 credits worth of compulsory modules, which means that these are set. So you don't have to choose them, because we built a set of compulsory modules to satisfy accreditation as well. So the accreditation requirements. And these includes building blocks of life, which teaches you everything that you have to know about life, starting from molecules up to cells, tissues, and organisms. We also teach laboratory skills and study skills in the part 1, so in the first year. So when you come into Reading, in the first couple of weeks, you actually will be brought into the laboratory and immediately learn the basic skills. So it's a really exciting time actually for students, because usually the laboratory work are the ones which students enjoy the most. And of course, you will have a little bit of introduction to microbiology, bacteriology, and virology. You will hear about anatomy and physiology, and also pathology. And on the right side, you can see some of the optional modules we offer. So you can take 20 credit worth of modules from the right side. So if you think about anatomy and physiology in the first year, because it's a biomedical science, you have to be able to understand how the human body is built. So how we teach this? We teach human anatomy and physiology on a comparative way. So you learn how the human systems look like, how the human organs work, but you also learn and compare it how other vertebrate systems are working, to be able to better understand the major differences and the function of the human body as well. And after you have done the anatomy and physiology, for example, you will use this knowledge, and in the following term, you will study about pathology, which basically tells you what are the differences in the function of these organs that you actually studied in anatomy and physiology. So what are the differences in the functions of these organs and also their tissues and cells? when something goes wrong, when disease comes and starts to interfere with the normal function of cells. And as I mentioned, we don't just offer core knowledge for students, but we also want them to learn extra skills that are important for employability. So we run a module called Key Skills, also in the first and also in the second year. And during these sessions, basically you learn key skills like scientific communication or general communication skills, how to analyze data, so data statistics, how to display data, presentation skills, as well as career skills, what are really important when you finish your degree. In the second year, it's pretty similar to what you see in the first one, in the sense that you have compulsory modules, again, around 100 credits, build up from the modules that are listed on the left side. And you have the choice to choose from other modules as well on the right side. And this kind of flexibility at least gives you the chance to also choose some modules and some topics that you really like, so from the right side, and combine it with the core elements. Clinical biomedicine, this is a topic that you study in the second year, is basically what the major role is of a biomedical scientist. So in clinical biomedicine, you basically study what happens to the blood or the tissue sample that is taken from patients and when it arrives to pathology laboratories, for example, in the hospital. So this includes investigating the blood type, the blood diseases, but also how to diagnose cancer, looking at tumor markers of cancer patients, and also looks at cellular pathology. For example, it's very relevant for cervical screening. This particular module is also supported by laboratory practicals. And what is also very important, I think, that some of the lectures, some of the content of this module is actually delivered by clinicians, so people who are working in hospitals, and biomedical scientists who have the similar degree that you are aiming to achieve here. And they are also giving talks from the specific subjects, the specific techniques that they are using in the hospital. In the third year, you have a wider choice of modules because you have only 80 credits that are fixed. And those are for 4 modules: cardiovascular disease, medical genetics, and cancer and cell communication, and also includes the so-called research project. And I think this is the most exciting part of the whole degree. The research project has 40 credit worth, and it actually goes through the whole last year, so the whole third year. And it includes an option to do real research in the laboratory. You can also take optional modules from the right side, but I would rather talk a little bit about the research project. Okay, sorry, I will just go back to this slide once more. So there are modules which tries to teach you about the genetics of diseases, and this is taught actually in part 3. In this module, you will be able to learn a lot about different diseases. So if you are interested in medicine, medical sciences, this is basically a module where you can hear a lot about different diseases, the origins of diseases, because our colleagues who are also not just teaching but doing research have actually research profiles in a range of different topics, which are all covering different areas of biomedicine. So we have colleagues, for example, the head of school, Phil Dash, who is doing research on cancer, another colleague who is investigating the origins of obesity. But we have colleagues working on neurobiology, neurodegeneration, aging, muscle aging, so various interesting areas. And so why is it interesting? Because in the part 3 research project, you can choose an academic and a research lab where you can complete an 11-week-long research project. So you come into the lab and actually participate in the currently running research. Of course, there are also options for other kind of part 3 projects, research projects. So if you're not interested in doing research in the laboratory environment, we also run systematic literature reviews, so literature-based research, outreach type of project as well. So there are a range of opportunities. What is very important to know that if you come to the university, one of the first academic who who you will meet during your studies is your academic tutor. So you will be allocated with an academic tutor who is overseeing your academic progression, and he's the or she is the first contact you will meet, and always if you have anything to talk about, you will approach. And this is an academic in the school. So basically this is one of the lecturer who will teach you during your course. We provide an active learning environment. So as I mentioned, you will have a lot of chance to go to the laboratory and do research, learn different techniques, research techniques or diagnostic techniques. You can also study through discussing medical case studies with your colleagues, with the lecturers. We do run data analysis projects, group activities. You can be involved in writing grant proposals, and obviously we put an emphasis on learning how to present, so that your presentation skills will be also hopefully improving during these 3 years. And we also provide opportunities to learn transferable skills. As I mentioned, the practical experience is really important for you if you want to become a biomedical scientist. And even if you don't go down on the route of working in a hospital in the end, one thing that you can definitely learn in this degree is how to work in a research lab or in a laboratory environment. The research project, which I mentioned before in part 3, is guaranteed for all students. So if you want to do it in the research lab, you can do it. Alternatives include computational biology projects and science communication projects as well. And you can discover something new, and you might actually be able to be an author on a research paper that our colleagues are working on. I mentioned there are a wide range of research projects available, covering cardiovascular biology and disease, computation and tools, neuroendocrinology, developmental biology. And you can see on the picture, we have different models. So we work with human or mammalian cells, we work with proteins, we work with bioinformatics tools that are looking at protein structures, how you can build the protein structures using models and the computer. You can also work with different types of tissues. And of course, there's a huge group working on cardiovascular diseases using platelets, human platelets or mouse platelets as a model. Just very briefly, I want to mention an example of what happens when you come into the research lab, because this is quite representative of what kind of opportunities you can have. So a research group, and this is mine actually, we are working on genetics of Parkinson's disease. And just to briefly mention, this disease is the second most common neurodegenerative disease right now. And unfortunately, the number of people affected by this is constantly increasing. And it's a motor dysfunction disease, which is caused by degeneration of a certain part of the brain and a loss of motor control of the body. And what we are doing is, actually you see my cutie worms are crawling on the picture. So we are doing a research in a very small worm, a very small nematode, which is called Cenorhabditis elegans, because we can use this teeny animal, which is completely transparent, to model certain aspects of the disease. So what happens when you come into a lab, for example, a research project to do with me, that you would be able to study Parkinson's disease, but using a very small and very simple animal, which even though looks very different than the human body, if you look inside, the cells and the structure of the tissues are really similar to humans. So this is just a nice picture on the moving worms on the top. So we can see a lot of different pathologies using model organisms. And it's not just true for these kind of animals, so the little teeny worms, but there are colleagues who are working with other systems like cells, so cell culture, or working with other animal model organisms. So what we do is we study disease mechanisms. And this is what we also talk about in many of our lectures for our students. The other thing that I think is very important to mention, that if you come to Reading, you have the opportunity to do placements and work experience, which is really important if you finish your degree and you would like to get a job, because all employers would like to have fresh graduates with as much work experience as you can have. And we provide opportunities to do a placement between your part 2, so the second and the third year. Some students are doing a year-long placement, going out to companies, charities, and laboratories, pharma industry, and doing a whole year-long placement with them. and then come back to finish their third year degree. And the other opportunity is to do summer placements. It's usually also happening between part 2, so the second year, and part 3, so the third year. And this is something you can decide if you come to study biomedical sciences up to the end of your second year. So you don't have to decide at the very beginning whether you want to do this or you don't want to do this. But we have opportunities with various companies. So we have ring-fenced, guaranteed placements, for example, at Cancer Research UK, which physically happens in London, actually, in the UCL. And then we have other connections at Covens, for example. Our students also go to GSK, to the Diamond, so a lot of different places where they can secure placements for themselves. This is just an example of summer placements, for example, 10 weeks long placement at the analytical chemistry department at GSK, and hospital placements, which are really relevant and important when you want to build your portfolio as a biomedical scientist. So we also have some of those available for our students. And University of Reading also offers the Europe scheme. So it's an undergraduate research opportunities scheme when students can do a 6-week-long paid summer studentship in our research labs, in being involved actually in laboratory work, laboratory research. Okay, this is one of my success stories. So one of my students, Tom, has joined my lab as a Europe student, so basically a summer student. Oh, actually not a Europe student, sorry. As a summer student, we actually applied for a studentship for him, with him together, with at the Biochemical Societies. Is one of those professional societies where you can have a membership as a student as well. And we actually managed to secure a studentship for him. And he was working in my lab for 8 weeks. I think it was 2019, yes. And he didn't just do a great job, but then he also actually been awarded with the yearly prize for, so the first prize, let's say, of the studentships, as you can see. And he is a success story afterwards as well. So he decided to study further. So he did a master's degree, and right now he's doing a PhD at the MRC Prion unit. So he really got fascinated about neurodegeneration in the laboratory with me, and he chose his career path based on that one. So I'm really happy. And I'm really enjoying actually this kind of work with the students in the lab. So if you come to the Reading and then do this degree, you have various opportunities what you want to do with your life afterwards. I mean, like professional life, of course. So you can choose to be a biomedical scientist in at NHS, for example, at an NHS lab. For that, you have to build a specific portfolio, because this is a title which needs registration. So after you finished your accredited degree, so you need an accredited degree, you need to work alongside other biomedical scientists in the hospital to develop your skills. And that has some requirements. If you are interested, we can look into those ones as well. But if you don't want to work in a hospital, I think the opportunities are really numerous. So you can see some examples what you can do with this degree. You can become, of course, a clinical or a research scientist. You can stay in academia. You can go to the pharma industry. You can work to research councils, basically helping people to decide who gets research funding in what topics. You can target clinical trial units, so you can also work with them. Some of our students are working as medical writers, so that's also a very a popular career option. And you can go and work in sales and management, either related or unrelated actually to biomedical sciences. Some people are working in journalism, and yeah, so a range of opportunities are there. If you're interested, again, we can talk about this as well. And a lot of students are deciding actually after this degree that they want to go for further education as well, because they got really interested in the research side, or just try to understand more about the cause of disease. And lots of students going to further education, so do masters, eventually also PhDs as well. And some students actually use this course to go further and get into medicine, so medical degrees as well. So you can see further information on this slide, and I don't know if I was too fast, but I talked about most of the things I wanted to talk today about. If you're interested, you can send me an email. You see our information up, so just please have a look at these sites. And of course, we are welcome everyone. We have open days every year. So if you're interested to have a look at the campus, it's beautiful. We had an awesome day today. We had sunshine. So yeah, we welcome everyone here if you're interested. Thank you.
That was brilliant, Ava. Thank you ever so much. In terms of entry requirements and stuff,
Yeah.
Obviously, biology obviously is probably a must, isn't it? Do you look for chemistry as well?
We would like to have chemistry as well, yes. We do have students coming in without chemistry A or AS levels. Then we provide in part once in the first year, there is an entry, well, there is a chemistry course that then they have to take. Yeah, so then we tell them that you have to take a chemistry course. You can come without chemistry A levels, but yeah, so then there is a bit more core which we have to say that you have to take in the part one. Yeah, but they can come. So biology A and chemistry is the best. Biology is a must.
We also have students doing applied science. So they do applied science, so they get, they do lots of, obviously they do chemistry, biology and physics, and they may combine another science with it. So we have some students that may do applied science and they really enjoy, and that means that we just do we do the BTEC and it's equivalent to 1A level, and then alongside they may do say biology or chemistry. Would that be okay for the applied science?
I think it is. I really have to look into the details, but I went through a lot of different qualifications. BTECs were amongst them, so I think it should be all right. Yeah, I think we have to look at. So if you are unsure about the qualification you have, we have admissions tutor, and I also can put in touch with our admissions tutor. He knows all the details, but I think it should be all right. Yeah. So we look at every single application individually, and we provide the best, solution for everyone. Yeah, but it should be all right. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Do you know, I mean, I echo what you said about the research project being the best part. Year 11 and 12, I mean, obviously it's quite a while since I did mine, but it actually changed the pathway that I wanted to do, because I enjoyed my degree. And as soon as I started doing the research project, I actually decided that's why I want to do a PhD, because I enjoyed it so much. I never planned to do a PhD. It's because I really, really enjoyed it. And when I had the opportunity to do it, I had like a day to decide to do the PhD. I decided straight away because it was so enjoyable. So, and I would recommend that. Do you often get people staying on at Reading to do a PhD, or do they tend to just do a master's or something?
So we have students who are coming and sticking around for masters. I actually have one student coming directly from our BSc, so without the masters, and she joined my lab for PhD. So yeah, we have a couple of students who are coming directly from our biomedical sciences BSc and finishing and jumping on a PhD opportunity. I also have another student who just finishing the third year now, and she's also applying for PhD here. So yeah, we have a couple of students who are doing PhD here. I always tell them you have to apply for as many opportunities as you can think of, because and be quite open-minded, because you would be surprised how interesting science can be. Also areas which you don't necessarily know a lot about, because it's all fantastic and new, and you can be really involved in something brand new. And I think that's the nicest part. And of course, if you look at biomedical sciences, I mean, it covers a large area of interest. So you can really look at different topics. You don't have to be sticking to one. What I always tell to students, if you come in and you think you are interested in one thing, it's fine. But it's not a problem to change, actually. It's a good thing if you think about it again and again. And we start immediately at the beginning, think about what you want to do. And if it changes, it's not a bad thing, because then you actually thought about it, and it's usually changing quite a lot, and it's nice and fascinating to see how it's changing.
And we've built some really good relationships over the last years with academics who've come in and supported us, and it's lots of them. There's so many that have done biomedical sciences degrees, because, as you said, it covers such a wide area. And we've had lots of lecturers have gone on who are now specialists in neuroscience and stuff like that. And they often said that the biomedical science degree was that great thing that gave them the grounding to specialize in what they wanted to do afterwards.
Exactly. Yeah, so one thing I have to mention for this one, that when we talk about biomedical sciences, obviously it's heavy on disease and disease mechanisms. But once you have a biomedical degree, and you might actually think like, okay, I'm interested in biology, but not necessarily always the disease side. This is equally good, because you learn all the basic biology for whatever you need for that. And through looking at diseases, you learn the normal mechanisms as well. So you don't just learn what happens and what goes wrong in disease, but you learn the basic biology for that one as well. So you can use it and you do basic science, whatever you're interested in later, if science is for you. And if it's not, then you can still work in environments where the fact that you study biomedical or biological related subjects is really vital, but you don't have to work with patients because it's not for everyone, or you want to work more like administering the biological studies in clinical trial units or in companies who are running these big studies, pharma industry. So that's also something where it's really relevant and really important to have this kind of degree. So it's not that you can come in and then you do biomedical sciences and you just do biomedical scientist jobs, because being biomedical scientist in the sense of having this degree, I think gives a foundation for a load of different areas, really.
Some biomedical courses, sometimes people complete the first year and they've got such a good grounding, and they decide that they want to do medicine, and some of the courses are not too far away from where we are at Radyr, often have partnerships. So for example, they may do well in terms of the biomedical course and enjoy it, and actually they're thinking, well, actually I want to go to a medicine route, and I know they could obviously do a biomedical degree and then go to graduate medicine if they wanted to do that. Does Reading have something where you could, like sort of a partnership with a neomedical school, that if somebody
I understand your question. No, I don't think, because we don't run, we don't have medical school here. So if you want to do it, I don't think there's a direct route from biomedical sciences to medicine. No, I mean, obviously, if you do at least a part one, that's already, you learned more than what you have before. But there's no direct route as far as I know. We do have a partnership with NHS Trust, so the Reading Berkshire Hospital, which is quite famous, and they do offer some of the placements which are necessary for the portfolio building for the biomedical scientists, but not. I don't think we have a direct route for medical schools, not yet, at least.
So I think, because we have, I think if I might be wrong, I think Bangor University is that people do a year at Bangor. I think they've got a partnership with Cardiff and they transfer to Cardiff. So we have some students that go that route in terms of that. But actually, lots of students that I've worked with that have left Radyr have done biomedical degrees at places such as yourself, and then many obviously go on to different fields. But if they do want to do something like medicine or whatever, it's given them such a good grounding. We have a graduate medical school in Swansea nearby, and lots of we find lots of students who go on to that degree have actually, it's the biomedical have given them the enthusiasm and all the knowledge that makes them really, really sort of attractive as an applicant.
Yeah, exactly. So I know a couple of students who are coming in, and then they already know that they will go on graduate medical school after that. So we have also history of that one. But there are students who are coming in doing the degree, and after that they join the medical degree as well. Yeah.
The other thing I was going to ask you is, with our year 12s at the moment and with the year 11s, we're talking about supercurricular activities and these things you can do to find out more about subjects and courses and develop your knowledge. And we encourage them to do taster lectures. We encourage them to do online courses and MOOCs. Now, I know at Reading, you have courses, don't you? You have a platform. You almost have your own MOOC platform, which is really, really good. And I wondered if you had any sort of biomed courses that would be really useful. Because I know I've got a lot of good scientists here who are keen to sort of develop their knowledge.
So what we have, it's very specific one. We have a microbiology one, which is done by a couple of enthusiastic colleagues of mine. So they are very good. That's a very interesting one. And because microbiology is one of the basics we teach anyway in part one for the biomeds, because it's important, for infectious disease and so on. We have a microbiology MOOC on the Reading web portal, not just on Reading portal. I can send you the links afterwards, that we have a microbiology link. And we also have, and I will have to find that, and I can send you the link. We have taster lectures as well up on our website. Yeah. So I will definitely send you that link because we have a couple of things. And the other thing that I maybe should say is that we are totally happy to deliver taster lectures as well. So if you, whenever you feel like we would rather like to hear how it looks like to listen to a lecture, we do have these as well, so we can deliver. But I will send you a link for the available ones. Yeah,
that's brilliant, because as I said, we're trying to encourage them to explore MOOCs, these online courses, listen to podcasts, do some wider reading. You know, we promote lots of lectures, and we're saying to them, look, there's so much great resources out there, and you know, explore different subjects. Right. And then you know, because you know, explore before you even think about applying. You know, if you go to a biomed taster lecture with yourselves, you get a feeling for what it would be like, and you know, and going to webinars like we are tonight is really great for that.
Yeah. I will share with you some resources we have exactly for this. I think we also have students talking about placements, which is really important. I think is also a strength of the university, because that actually tops up the career option. So you really have much better options if you've done a placement, I think. And we have students talking about their experience. And of course, if you can come for an open day, you will see it on your own, because we have taster sessions. We have students who are talking about their experience at Reading. So we have a full, we actually have on open days also a laboratory open, and we give you the taster session there, what you can do and what you would be experiencing. So it's really full on if you manage to come here. But I will dig out some resources.
Thank you. And your 11 and 12, the resources that Reading put together that they send to me, you know, to support some of the stuff at tutor time, and the taster lectures and the resources are amazing. They really are. You know, some of the courses. I mean, we tend to promote them in assembly and the various MOOCs, and I often will say here's a whole slide just on Reading, because it is really the engagement stuff you do is fantastic. Thank you ever so much for that. We also have students doing the Welsh Baccalaureate, and with the Welsh Baccalaureate, it's obviously equivalent to an A-level, but they get the opportunity to do their own project, which is around about 4,000 words, and the freedom of that is, it's a bit like EPQ, okay, and so they can choose a topic. And I just wondered, really, if we had a student that was interested in biomed, what would be quite a nice little topic to investigate? If you were like, as you obviously they don't do practical work for this, but in terms of investigating the different research out there and stuff like that, what you thought might be interesting.
Oh, to be honest, I'm all for all sorts of topics. I'm not limited. We are not limited. So I would say anything that your interest, you have interest in, you know. And then biomedical sciences is so broad. You can really pick anything and look at infectious diseases, look at cancer, look at topics on this one. But you can also think about, you know, healthcare and healthcare related issues, and literally down to practical stuff, hospital related stuff, translation, and if you look at research, translation of research. So I think there are a load of areas that you can cover. I wouldn't say there is one particular area that you have to focus on.
No, absolutely. But as I said, we've had students very interested in doing stuff, you know, looking at we get lots of students who are really keen to look at sort of neurological conditions and stuff like that, and we have lots of students, you know, from a sports element that will look at things like effective concussions and stuff like that. Okay. That's quite a popular area in terms of that. But also we've, you know, lots of our students have listened to lectures, and they've been interested in a bit more about Parkinson's and learning about Huntington's disease and things like that. Yeah. So that's been quite useful in, you know, in terms of that. And obviously it does show when you're applying for university, it does show a passion in year 11 and 12. If you do pick a topic for Welsh Bac related to what you're interested in, you know, because it shows, because you are doing your own mini research project and you're referencing and you're doing your own bit of research. So really nice stuff in terms of that. So I'm conscious I've been talking. There hasn't been any questions in the chat, and I know that sometimes my experience is that with doing these, that lots of year 11 and 12 students in particular think of questions after and email me. I know Megan's put in the chat about they've got a preparing for university with a brilliant club and pathways in biological science, and they're still taking applications. So that's fantastic. And I will email that out to everyone as well. And we've done some work with Brilliant Club, and they're outstanding. And some of our students have been involved with various projects. And the SERIN network that we're part of do lots of work with the Brilliant Club in terms of some of the opportunities there. So that sounds fantastic, Megan. Thank you.
You're welcome, no worries. But yeah, it's basically the opportunity to work with PhD tutors about a project as well within the departments. So we have one that's more along the lines of sort of drug and disease related, and one more in nutrition and the body. So we've got some of the PhD students that are actually at Reading currently studying who are going to be taking those over. So it's hybrid. So it means that you get to come to us for a launch trip and see the campus and meet your tutor, and then you have series of online tutorials as well, and you get to submit a project as well. So as you said, if you're doing part of your Welsh back and you're looking into a project, this may be something that you're quite interested in. But if you do have any questions about preparing for university with the Brilliant Club, then obviously just let me know. But it's a great program if you want to get involved, and there'll be other regions that will be taking part as well across the country, so you might potentially meet people who might be your classmates in the future as well, which is also very nice.
Brilliant. And Megan, is that aimed at year 12 students, or is it aimed at?
That's aimed at year 12 students. Yeah,
fab, because we've got some very keen year 11 students here as well, so this is something that you can make a note of, and then when obviously next year look out for this and look out for opportunities such as this, because they're absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely. And if you're thinking about, getting involved with extra activity, especially if you're in year 11, we run a Reading Scholars program, which is also their applications usually open around September time. So if you are interested in doing something after the summer, there's Reading Scholars as well as this program too. And they also work with the Brilliant Club as well as their own mentors as well. So there's plenty for you to get involved with, especially if you have an interest in any STEM subjects as well.
And we can vouch for that. We've had students who've done the Reading Scholars and absolutely loved it. So, look out for that. It's a really, really good program, everyone, in terms of that.
Yeah, we've got a group of your year 10s currently doing it, who we're going to come and talk to and do some work with next Wednesday, I believe. So yeah, so some of the year 10s.
Oh, brilliant. With Lauren.
As well.
Fabulous. No, that's brilliant. Thank you, Megan. That's brilliant. So I don't think there's any questions in the chat. So I just want to say thank you to Ava and Megan for putting this on for us today. We really appreciate it. Thank you everyone for coming. And what I will do is I will send a recording out of this to everyone who came today, because it was really, really valuable. And I also send it out to everyone who is interested in biology or whatever, and our networks in terms of that. And if you think of any questions, just email me and I'll pass them on to Megan and Ava. And thank you ever so much, and have a nice evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ava.
Have a lovely evening,
Thanks,
everyone.
Megan.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.